Hey Desert Springs Church, thank you for tuning into this brief video regarding the next commitment card. This commitment card is designed to help us to pray and to think through our giving at Desert Springs. So I want to take a few minutes to walk us through the worksheet section of the card. The first box at the top says what I would normally give in a year. This is where you're going to include what your typical giving is per year at DSC. Keep in mind that this would be your total giving, so this would include any giving that you might do now for North Africa. For some of you, this first box may not have a number in it yet, and that's okay. We hope that this will begin your giving journey for the first time. The second box says, My expanded annual giving. This means that for the next year, starting in December 1st, 2019, we're going to ask you to spend some time to pray and ask God, how are you asking me to grow and expand my generosity to your work and in your church? Am I giving it the priority it deserves? Then we add the first two boxes together and we enter that total into the third box. For the fourth box on the right-hand side, we'll simply multiply it by 2 since this is a 2-year initiative. The next box is really important. The gifts from my stored resources. We often consider our generosity in terms of what God will give us. Mostly this is through our income. But we don't often think about what God has already given us, and that is stored resources. So if we want to honor God in all things, then we really need to ask ourselves, are we honoring God not just with what He will give us, but what He has already given us? Most of us have a stored resource. For some of us, it might mean something like savings, retirement accounts, property, or the tax refund we get each year, or even stocks or bonds. For others of us, it could be a different kind of possession, something God has given you that, well, maybe is not being used to honor Him as it should. If you're struggling with what your stored resources are, then it might be helpful to make a list of your assets. Then begin to work through that list in prayer and ask God, am I honoring you with this resource? For many of these items, the answer might be yes, in fact you are. So with thanksgiving, yes, keep enjoying that resource and keep honoring God with it. But if you're not honoring God with that possession, God may stir your heart to take action. You may either be motivated to redeem that possession and start to honor Him with it, or you may need to release that possession and use the proceeds to honor God. Please remember, this is between you and the Lord. You should only move as He leads you. As we read in 2 Corinthians 9:7, each one must give as he's decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. Finally, we get to the bottom line. Add everything together in this last box. And this is your total 2-year commitment. Church, thank you so much for your prayerful consideration and stewardship of God's kingdom work. May our Lord be glorified as we worship Him with our joyous generosity.